happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, and Cinco de Mayo. So quite a day for everybody. I hope everyone's enjoying some tacos, maybe not tequila yet, but maybe later on. Thanks for joining us for Digital Lunchbox. Today, we're going to be talking about the latest digital marketing trends. So I'm here with Andy and Seth, really experts in this area, helping both us internally at O8, which is also what I do, and our clients. So let's kick off with you, Seth. What do you think is one of the biggest trends you're seeing right now in digital marketing?
Sure. Well, people want to talk to other people right now more than ever. They're cooped up in their homes, and whether that's through video or chat or something like that, they want to talk to actual people. A robot can sometimes be almost as good, so that's important to note. We are seeing conversational marketing with chatbots like Drift surging right now. Some of our clients are, that's a way for them to handle a lot of demand, a lot of questions as the market shifts. So that's a big thing I'm seeing.
What about you, Andy?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it seems self-evident, and it's certainly not like brand new because it's been a trend for years, but video, people are going nuts on video right now. Everybody wants to see, and again, for some of the same reasons that Seth cited, but it has become incredibly easy for people to just go and make videos, quickly edit them. The tools are there not only on your desktop or your phone. It's not like you have to be an expert in Final Cut or something. You can just go off and use some very basic video editing tools, upload a video to YouTube, or create videos or incorporate them into stories on Instagram or Snapchat or other platforms. Increasingly, we're getting better at, even as on an amateur level, at telling video stories and getting videos out in very short order. And it remains the most effective way if you're launching a new product. There's no point in like having talking head interviews and extensive blog posts and articles about that. The first thing that everybody expects to see is that 30-minute video, 30-second video on the product, and a quick overview of this is what it is, this is what it does, some snappy headlines, a quick video fly through, and leave people with the basic story, just cut right to the chase. And video is effective for doing that.
Yeah, I think I would stress too, you don't have to be perfect with your video. People know that you're humans, you just got to do it. And I think I've been seeing, videos are really no longer optional. You kind of got to do it to keep up. It's the only way to remain competitive right now. But you mentioned social media stories, and I feel like that is another trend we are seeing right now. Seth, do you want to talk a little bit about the boost in social media stories?
Sure. Well, it's just another way of actively visually engaging folks, and those stories tend to be videos. Of course, you can have static content there, but it's another way to show your humanity, or in a place where your business, someone would come in and be able to look you eye to eye. Sometimes we can't do that right now with certain businesses, so that it goes to the larger concept of video, of just showing that you've got real live humans that you can experience and relate to. And sometimes it's when you can't look a person in the eye, setting up a video meeting, before you get to that stage, being able to see these people and get that sense of who they are is really important right now. They call it social media, and we're social distancing, so it's just an extra important step of your strategy of showing who you are, of gaining trust, and yeah, it's really important right now.
And I'd add that doing stories on a platform like Instagram, for example, which is becoming very, very popular for the stories that were originally something that you saw more on Snapchat than you saw on Instagram. But then, of course, they overtook that with their platform and with their capabilities. It's a great way to make your company, to bring the personality of your company out, because those stories don't have to be, they shouldn't be official and formal and stuffy. They should reflect to some degree personalities in your company, your organizational culture. They should be playful. They should have a sense of humor. So all of that can be incorporated into storytelling when you use Instagram or Snapchat stories.
Right. And I've heard there's kind of an art now to you can have your social media story essentially serve as your landing page, because you're reaching a different audience on your social media than you're reaching probably on your website, that maybe they have higher search intent when they're coming to your website, but when they're coming to your social media, maybe they're just, feeling it out, kind of top of the funnel. So yeah, I think that getting some stories out there that show the human side, that are interactive, but also informational and can like speak to your services, can necessarily or pretty much serve as a landing page. So I just mentioned interactive content, and I think that is another trend we are seeing. People really like to be entertained, if you will. There's shoppable posts and things like that. Do you want to speak to that? What are you seeing there?
Go ahead, Andy.
Well, directly, we're seeing is that like one of our clients is going all in right now on a really cool piece of interactive content. It's a map of data visualization that allows you to do risk assessment. So imagine that you have assets all over the world, different cities, different countries, and you want to be able to pair up where your assets are, your investments, for example, and your investment portfolio assets are relative to centers of COVID-19, and where there are the biggest outbreaks and where there's potentially risk. And so they're using Johns Hopkins data and populating and doing essentially a heat map with drill down. And it's a very cool thing. It's something that is available for all of their customers, but they're offering 120-day kind of entry level or free trial of this, so everybody can basically go in. If you are in the business of doing asset management or doing equipment finance and so forth, which is what this company deals with, then this would be a really valuable thing to try out. And they're decided to go ahead and let people try it out for a pretty extended period of time. So it's that becomes a valuable asset. They put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's become something that you can promote and use to entice people to come in and get down deeper into your product line, your capabilities, and the data you have available to share.
Well, so we've covered kind of some content trends, the social media stories, video, interactive content. Let's talk a little bit about some shifts in strategy. What's happening with personalization? I know it's kind of just something that everybody's doing right now. It might be freaking out some consumers in terms of just how fine-tuned this can get, but I think it's fabulous. So tell us a little bit more about what that entails and how it can really help your business.
Yeah, well, personalization is an amazing thing, and it can do great, wonderful things for your brand. But I'm also thinking about folks that are like, gosh, we only have so many resources right now. Personalization is a very resource intensive thing, but there are certain things that you can do at a simple level, like using Google Optimize. You can run 3 free personalization experiments, and they're kind of ongoing personalized changes to your website, which could be a quick win. And then you can measure, hey, does this do something for me? And if so, if the data say yes, then maybe that's something that you gradually invest in. But a full-fledged personalization program, that's a lot of work as you scale up the company, matching messages to all of your personas, sometimes different countries. That's a really big effort. So
it requires you to have a commitment to mining the data of your customers and visitors, and then tailoring messages to them, explicitly based on their purchase history, based on pages that they visited on the site, or other signals or markers of interest. So it's going to be pretty much outside of A/B testing and some sort of the base levels of it, or potentially doing some segmentation based on, which is not exactly personalization, but helps you start to drill down in to, getting a more fine-tuned look at your audience. And obviously ad targeting, which relies quite a bit on being able to personalize results. And those things are relatively are readily available to the sort of average small to medium business. But to get into some of the really high level stuff that the large companies are doing, the IKEAs and Nikes and Amazons of the world and so forth, you have to have you have to have budget and also a great amount of access to customers' history and purchase data to pull that off. So again, it's all a question of degree. We're seeing it as a trend. I would say it's not something I'm seeing really impacting awaits clients beyond just that baseline of A/B testing and segmentation.
Yeah. So oh, go ahead, Seth.
Well, and there are steps to it. You can personalize your website based on industry, or and again, some of this data is changing because people are working from home, but there are services like Clearbit where you can say, hey, we specialize in this industry, and know that that visitor is of that industry, and change the messaging a bit on your homepage, and then you go bit by bit, measure. There are paths to it, but like Andy and I are both saying, true personalization site wide, in your digital ecosystem is a big ask.
Got it. So that's really good for the smaller to medium-sized businesses to know, because I feel like a lot of them are interested in personalization. It sounds like there are some things that you can do to get your foot in the door with that strategy, but it's a heavy lift if you want to do it full-fledged. So let's talk about some things that these smaller to medium-sized businesses can do.
I was just gonna, if I could, real quick, I just want to give one concrete example because it just occurred, like literally right before this discussion. So I think it's maybe just to maybe put some concrete meat on the bones. And this is all right. So this is an airline company. This is not an OA client, so I can probably I'll say the name. I'm not revealing anything. I got a promotion from Sun Country. What was interesting about this is, so like a lot of airlines, Sun Country is probably not, they're feeling the bite of COVID. They're trying to get people to fly or consider flying. So they're doing offers, and there's all kinds of deals. And so the deals there were 3 deals that were essentially in this email that I received from them. And I'm a Sun Country customer. I've flown with them before. I've actually got an account on them, and they have my history. So not surprisingly, 2 of the deals were for San Antonio and Myrtle Beach. One of them was for Providence, Rhode Island. Now, Providence was sort of an outlier, but not really, because in the past year, I have traveled to San Antonio, and I believe I think I even flew Sun Country down there, but Sun Country probably has aggregate travel from different, airline data clearinghouses, not just simply from their own records, but they certainly have my records of flights I've taken. Interestingly enough, I have done searches and priced tickets for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because at one point, my son is thinking about potentially doing it, essentially some summer work down there. So interestingly enough, it's keying off of, again, sort of past trips, searches that I have done, tickets that I either bought or looked like I was interested in buying. And then the third one was Providence, Rhode Island, that they happen to have a sale on. Haven't really been to Providence in a while, but I was in New England last summer for a visit. And so once again, it's going back and pulling my specific travel history. It's giving me that, saying, these are places we know you like to go. Would you like to go there again? And it's only $49, $33 if you talk about that.
It's hard with these tricks that they have to collect so much data on you. I was actually shopping online the other day for trying to get a Total Wine delivery, and I clicked, and they had as my recommended product Hadley and Sons, and I was kind of mind blown. I've never had this Hadley and Sons gin, but clearly they had to have taken my name somehow and recommended this to me. So there are other things that the smaller to medium-sized businesses can do, though, if they don't necessarily have this big budget for personalization. So let's start with omnichannel marketing. I think that's a great strategy that people can get on top of. Let's talk through that.
Yeah, well, sorry, we keep derailing your conversation, but yeah, I just wanted to mention one more thing. Personalization right now, what does that mean? Because people are changing so fast and the world is changing so fast. And
Mhm.
is it, I, I haven't fully thought about this, but is it a good thing? Like, you know, maybe we need to personalize because everyone's changing and we need to figure out how to adapt really quickly. Or is personalization becoming less relevant, you know, now that everyone's, Andy's example is a great example, but no one's flying right now,
Right.
So yeah, just something to call out. We don't need further discussion, but I think it's important to say that, hey, it's a really interesting thing to think about, but it really varies by your industry and where you're at in your business and where your consumers are at in your business,
Mhm.
before you just randomly go, let's do personalization. Yeah,
Right. So
gotta
just
really think about that now.
right, that consumer behavior has shifted and possibly forever.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. So omnichannel marketing, who can walk me through that?
So it's this, we want to be clear. We say omni-channel. It's not just like I'm going to put a bunch of stuff up on some different platforms, but it's really thinking through the message that you want to get across and where's your audience going to encounter it, and then having that message come out in a consistent and branded way that is tailored for each platform, and also taking advantage of the segmentation capabilities and targeting of those platforms, because you've got some really nice capabilities. Something like you can pixel your website, for example, for Google Ads, for Facebook, for LinkedIn. And each of those platforms allows you to do targeting, build lists, and push content out to people um, based on specific interests and places that they've been on your site or purchases they've made. So it starts to get towards that, a little bit towards that personalization. But the main thing is not just thinking, oh, we're going to run an ad campaign. Well, we always put an ad in such and such, or we always do. We have this one channel that we have this go-to, that is our go-to. We like to do a lot of search marketing, so we do Google Ads. It's thinking more, starting again with your customer and knowing your customers and your prospects and your client, and saying, where do they spend their time online? And if they encounter, I want them to encounter my brand, and I want them to be able to have opportunities to hear about what we're doing and about our products, and to build reputation. So we want to meet them where they are. So first of all, it's understanding where they are. It's not every single channel out there. It's the channels that matter to your audience. It seems like it should be self-evident. And then it's figuring out how that message gets, not only is maintained consistently throughout the channel so that they have a consonant brand experience, but how the message is also tailored just a bit for the tone of that channel. I mean, LinkedIn and Instagram, to use two examples, you can use somewhat similar content, but the tone on Instagram is going to be so much lighter and so much more geared towards lifestyle and towards, sort of enjoyable topics. It's going to be less serious, down to business, which is not to say that you can't have business posts on Instagram, but there better be an element of fun there, because that's why I'm on Instagram. That's what people are there for. So knowing what your audience is doing on a platform, and knowing why they're there and what their expectations are, and what's going to be a welcome brand message, and a welcome brand story, versus one that maybe would play differently or better on another platform. That all goes into an effective omni-channel campaign.
Yeah, and I think, to be topical about today's situation, you think about omni-channel as, oh, people watching the game and flipping on their phone, a certain subset of the consumers doing that. But now everyone is on their devices and on a Zoom meeting and then checking their phone while they shut their video down, and like maybe they bought an Apple TV, and they're everything is really digital right now. So we just have to appreciate that, I think, and think that people may hop between channels really quickly and get distracted and shut down this one and move to that one. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I think another great trend that we're seeing that smaller to medium-sized businesses could really jump on board with is conversational marketing. We've recently ramped that up here at O8. Seth, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So again, people want to talk to people, and
Mhm.
a bot is sometimes almost as good. And there are ways for you to transition from bot to human effectively. Um, it's important to highlight that it is called conversational marketing. So you do have to speak like you would to a human, even if it's programmatic, even if it's through a bot. And then you get actual humans on the line who hopefully are aligned to the needs of the people that they're talking to or that are, interacting with you. Um, Drift is one of our favorites right now. They do a really great job at, uh, you know, having a nice flow builder for the bot. Also, they have some ABM capabilities, and you can bring in that personalization data from Clearbit, for example, and bring that into your bot conversation so that your bot already knows something about the user. So that's, that's an actually, well, I don't want to say easy, but it's a quick inroad to personalization um, in a highly relevant channel right now. So that's definitely very interesting. What else? What else to say about that, Andy?
Well, so two use cases that immediately lend themselves to conversational marketing. So one is engaging something and getting them to narrow down to like, well, how can we help you and what do you specifically want? And based on their answers, being able to then take them down a certain path. And and then being able to build the conversation flexibly enough that the bot is able to make suggestions or steer the conversation a certain way, but ultimately the person who is the human being in the conversation needs to get the value out of that and get to it fairly quickly. Nobody wants to sit around for like a half hour having a casual conversation with someone who's not really there. But if you can get to the heart of what you're trying to get out of this company, and it can pick up that information and narrow down, that's great. The other use case is when you have something repetitive. Like we have a client that is just getting right now, they're in the healthcare business, they sell healthcare related products, and they're getting actually quite a lot of inquiries about one of the products. Is a great problem to have. They're looking at using Drift in order to handle some of that load. These are calls that would be coming into their support people or their customer service or sales people. And in many cases, they're repetitive. It's the same handful of questions that they would have to deal with over and over again. And they need to just be able to get people to the right place or provide them with the right information quickly. And conversational marketing um, lends itself well to that kind of scenario because you could pretty much just, again, take people down a path, figure out where they need to be, and then provide them with the messaging, products, and other services or answers that they're looking for. And if you can get people to that information quickly, people are happy to self-serve. It's not that they absolutely have to call up a human being. It's not like we're necessarily looking to have a meaningful conversation with that sales or support rep. We just simply want a resolution for our problem or an answer to our question. So two really good immediate scenarios for anybody who's looking at this. And we've had really good experiences so far with implementing Drift. It's got a lot of strong capabilities and I like its conversion tracking.
Mhm.
Yeah, and really, you're saving time qualifying leads is a big thing. Uh, these salespeople would otherwise be sitting on the phone, like Andy's saying. But it's important to realize, okay, something like Drift might cost a little bit, but you're saving man hours, human hours,
Mhm.
that would otherwise be sitting on the phone talking to leads that just don't match your company, what your company provides. And also the studies and case studies show that conversions can really skyrocket uh, from conversational marketing, these chat flows versus a static landing page. Um, these things are really engaging. They play little pop-up sounds often when you visit the page, like, hey, look at me. Whereas a static kind of landing page, people aren't as engaged with those in a lot of scenarios compared with a chatbot.
I found it as a really useful tool here at O8. So I definitely envision that trend growing and continuing to grow, especially to your point, Steph, now that everything is digital. So I think that's a really great way to wrap it up. We will let everyone go enjoy their tacos for Cinco, and we will be back here Friday at noon.